Hello, this is Laura Parma. Welcome to another episode of The Contemplations. Today I talk about emotional intelligence. One first and very fair question you may have about emotional intelligence is, why do we need it? And are we emotionally unintelligent? No offense to our brain, but it is old, and historically it has geared up for survival much earlier than it has evolved to process really complex social situations. One perfect example of that is the fight or flight response. Early humans have focused their limited mental energy into protecting themselves from real and present danger, which is really helpful if you are chased by a saber-toothed tiger in the savannah. But the threats we're faced with day in, day out require a thoughtful, calm and collected reflection rather than a foot race. In fact, today we don't really face immediate pressures to survive, yet we all still experience an ancient response, physical response, really strong to threats, which is really inappropriate and disproportionate. Not to mention that when threatened, our brain powers up on a defensive response by shifting resources away from our sophisticated, slower but powerful complex thinking to the profit of immediate, result-based, short decisions. And you've probably noticed that when in panic, we don't really display our best self. In fact, I'd personally much prefer to respond to personal affronts and other small indignities of every day with lesser intensity and by not taking my best cognitive skills offline. Now, this is just one example, but as a result, it is kind of expected and normal that we would struggle to understand many aspects of how we function emotionally. The reasons why we are anxious or excited elude us day to day somehow. Our characteristic ways to respond to hurt or threat or fear can be thoroughly confusing sometimes. So what is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence can be superficially defined as the ability to identify and manage one's own emotions and the emotions of others. So easy to say, right? But then what are the benefits of processing such emotions and managing them correctly? There are true and deep benefits in acknowledging and processing uncomfortable sensations. If they are too often pushed in the dark, actually, they tend to drive us a little mad, and we end up being driven by our emotions rather than running them. Anything from benign irritability to mild anxiety, all the way up to full-fledged depression, insomnia, or addiction. So, what can we do about this? What is one useful step that we can take toward developing higher emotional intelligence? My first guess is to accept that we might stumble trying. Stumble trying to explain and understand ourselves, and telling it to others might surprise or even hurt them. And we might also have extreme difficulties in understanding and interpreting other people's emotions with greater imagination, context, or sometimes even kindness. As a result, it is easier to view people as mean rather than damaged. But in reality, few people are actually intentionally cruel rather than just suffering. So what is my take-home message? Remember, inappropriate brain behavior. It is so much more likely that people are mistakenly defensive rather than actually meaning to be mean. And taking a compassionate first steps towards ourselves and towards others is an important milestone into developing higher emotional intelligence. Thank you so much for listening. Next week I will be talking about the elusive concept of self-knowledge.